Good morning, students. Good morning to you all. It's another beautiful day and another day for us to look at another topic in SOC 106 Introduction to Sociology 2. All right, what are we looking at today? Today we are looking at social stratification and mobility. Social stratification and mobility. In the first semester, you recall that we looked at social inequality, and then we spoke about the fact that social stratification is one of the factors that causes social inequality within society. So today we are going to now focus on social stratification. Sociology uses the term social stratification to describe the system of social standing or positioning, of course, that has applies to different people within the society. People cannot be within the same position. Of course, they are going to be in different positions. So sociologists use that term, social stratification, to refer to the different layers of people that we have. I mean, different standing of people that we have in the society. Just like the geologists use social stratification, I mean, stratification this time around to describe the different patterns that are visible within the rock. In describing the characteristic of a rock, they talk about the layers of different colorations, textures, and all that, or properties that has to do with the rock. But in our own case now, we're looking at people of the society and what makes one particular person different from others or a group of people different from some other groups. Social stratification refers to a society's categorization of its people into rankings based on factors like wealth. So if one is wealthy, he has a different categorization as somebody that is not wealthy. If one has a higher level of income, there's a certain categorization as compared to those that are low earners. Education also, by the time you have your degree, you're going to be a graduate and you're going to be different from those that are school start dropouts or even primary school holders, I mean certificate holders. And of course, family background too serve as a way of describing people within the society, categorizing people within the society, and also the availability of power also makes one to be different from others. Now, let us quickly look at the theoretical explanations that are embedded in social stratification, taking that of functionalism first. You remember that we have already dealt with the key postulations of theories in sociology, the key theories in sociology, like that of functionalism, that of conflict theory, and a couple of other symbolic interactionism. So, what does functionalism has to say about social stratification? Now, functionalist perspective examines how the society parts operate, that is the different parts of the society. And according to functionalism, the different aspects of the society exist because they serve vital purposes. They serve different vital purposes. And the function that we serve also has something to do with the way we are positioned within the family. So, what is the function of social stratification? What does it actually do to the society? In 1945, Kingsley Davis and Wilbur Moore argued that the greater the functional importance of a social role, the greater must be the reward attached to that particular role. For example, people look at the roles that doctors play, and probably that is why they get a whole lot of salaries. Maybe the entertainers too, maybe the role they play to make people happy and the rest of it, and a couple of other uh, vocations that way. I mean, like that. So definitely, the functionalists are looking at the different roles that different categories of people play within the society, and they believe that the reward that are attached to this role is as a result of the importance of the role to the society. So the theory posits that social stratification represents the inherently unequal value of different work. So a particular work will be of greater value to another work and all that, and they are trying to use their own theoretical postulation to justify the reason why there's no way, I mean, the reason why there has to be social stratification within the society, that there's no way we can have a society without stratification because the roles that people play are of unequal value. And because of that, people will get unequal income and status. All right, certain societal tasks are more valuable than others. For example, doctors, okay, that has been said, and lawyers, of course, and the rest of all the courses that you are also studying. And of course, we look at degrees as well. The person that has BSc degree is going to be of a different standing as compared to those somebody that has just a school certificate and the rest of it. By the time you people join workplaces, you'll be able to know that part of what will be used to differentiate you from others are the degrees you have gotten, the qualifications, and the rest of it. So qualified people who feel those positions are rewarded more than others. Meanwhile, to the conflict theorists, of course, we all know that they are not going to be in agreement with the functionalists as far as their own explanation is concerned. They believe that they are, of course, they are deeply critical of social stratification, and they believe that it benefits some people and not all the members of the society. For instance, to a conflict theorist, it seems wrong that a footballer is paid millions for an annual contract, while a public school teacher only earns as paltry as 420,000 naira per annum. You can imagine that is what a footballer will probably earn in minutes. So that is what the position of conflict theory as far as social stratification. All right, so we may want to ask ourselves that why do the conflict theories abhor or do not like social stratification? It is because they believe that it perpetuates inequality, it causes inequality and also perpetuates inequality, and they try to bring awareness to inequality, such as how a rich society can have so many poor people, can have so many poor members, like Nigeria, of course. We all know that in the same country where we have the richest man in Africa and a couple of other very rich people across, I mean, in Africa and even across the world, in terms of the spread of their wealth, we also have people that cannot afford a good meal a day, just one meal a day. All right, now let us look at forms of stratification. We have two main types of forms of stratification that sociology actually recognizes. We have the closed systems and we have the open system. We'll talk about the open system later. Let us start with the closed systems. Now, it accommodates little change in social position. What does that mean? It doesn't give a lot, I mean, a lot of opportunity for people to change their position. If you are actually born into a closed system, that system is likely to be the system you will be for probably ever till you leave the world. So that is a closed system. It doesn't give opportunity for people to transit. They do not allow people to shift levels and they do not permit social relationship between levels. So if you are born into a closed system, you cannot even relate effectively with somebody that is not within your own position. And closed system include estate, slavery, and caste system. We are going to talk more about caste system later. For now, let us look at open systems. Open systems are based on achievement and allow movement and interaction between layers and classes. Nigeria actually operates an open system, except, of course, the part of the eastern part of Nigeria that used to operate an Osu-based system in the past. But it has now been abolished, so we don't even have any society within Nigeria right now that actually operate a closed system. So everywhere is open for all. And how different systems operate reflects and emphasizes and foster different cultural values, shaping individual beliefs and all that. So in an open system, it means that you can actually determine your own future, you can determine your destiny, as they say, through your own personal achievement and all that. And it is that that actually explains or will be able to determine your positioning within the society. All right, we will review class and caste stratification in detail. Let's look at caste. The caste system are closed stratification systems where people can do little or nothing to change the social position that they are born into. Like I said earlier, the caste system determines all aspects of an individual's life, the occupation that you are going to get, the partners you are going to marry to, and even the kind of housing facilities you may have. And individual talent, interests, or potentials do not provide opportunities to improve a person's social standing. So it's almost like there's nothing you can do to improve your social standing. That is not the same with the class system, which is based on both social factors and individual achievement. Social factors are quite there, but you can also achieve individually to move your position as far as the society is concerned. So a class consists of a set of people who share similar status based on factors like wealth, income, education, family background, and occupation. So the class, that is what the class actually set up. Now, unlike the case system, a class system are open. People may move to a different level, vertical movement of education or employment status than their parents. So right now, some of you, your parents may not be university graduates. You are going to be graduates now. By so doing, you have actually moved as far as your positioning is concerned in respect of that of your parents. All right. Having said all that about social stratification, let us now look at mobility. We've talked about moving and moving and moving. This is where we now talk about the system of movement. All right, social mobility refers to the ability of individuals to change position within a social stratification system. So you can change your, especially under open system. When people improve or diminish their economic status in a way that affects social class, they experience social mobility. Social mobility is not strictly upward. we can have a downward spiral of social mobility, which means that the person is actually falling from grace to grass. May we not actually experience that? Individuals can experience upward or downward social mobility for a variety of reasons. Now, let's look at upward mobility, and that this refers to an increase or an upward shift when they move from a lower to a higher socioeconomic class. If you're poor yesterday and you are now rich today, you have upwardly moved. So that's upward mobility. In contrast, individuals experience downward mobility as well when they move from a higher socioeconomic class to a lower one. Like I prayed initially, may we not experience this. All right, some people move downward because of maybe business setbacks. Some people might have taken loan from banks, and the next thing they get to lose that business opportunity, and they have to pay the loans and all that. Before you know it, they were rich before, they will now become poor. Unemployment is another thing that makes people to get downward, or illness if the person cannot actually continue to sustain his source of income. Dropping out of school, losing a job, or getting a divorce may also result in a loss of income or status, and therefore downward mobility or social mobility. Now, it is not uncommon for different generations of a family to belong to varying social classes. So we are looking at types of mobility now. And the first type that we are going to be looking at is known as intergenerational mobility. Now, patterns of intergenerational mobility can reflect long-term societal changes as well. You know, when we say intergenerational mobility, it means that your own generation is different from that of others, especially your parents or people that are within your family. Now, if your own mobility, you are able to move from the very position they were in into a now suitable position, if it is positive or upward, or into a now disadvantaged position, unfortunately, if it is downward, that is what is referred to as intergenerational mobility. My parents, my family were poor, but I was able to get a couple of opportunities. I became rich. That is an intergenerational mobility. On the other hand, the other type is intra-generational mobility, and this refers to changes in a person's social mobility over the course of their lifetime. I was poor before, now I am rich. Within yourself, that is an intra-generational mobility. It is within you. For example, the wealth and prestige experienced by one person may be quite different from that of their siblings, of course. All right, now, structural mobility now. Structural mobility happens when societal changes enables a whole group of people to move up or down the social class ladder. Structural mobility is attributable to changes in society as a whole, like the main change that happened to the Nigerian society through the introduction of GSM, Global System of Mobile Communication or Technology, the GSM that we all talk about today. By the time it was introduced, a lot of people were able to move because it provided or it presented a lot of people opportunities for them to earn income and, of course, raise their income level. People got into software engineering, software development, and a couple of other things, online businesses and all, that improved the income of a lot of people. And that is a very good, worthy example that we can use in Nigeria as an example of structural mobility. In America, of course, in the first half of the 20th century, industrialization expanded the US economy, raising the standard of living and leading to upward structural mobility for almost everyone. Of course, industrialization brought that to America. We may not have experienced so much of industrialization in Nigeria, but like the example I gave in terms of the GSM, yes, it is something that we can refer to as our own structural mobility or something that gave us an experience of structural mobility. Barriers to social mobility. It is not going to just come automatically. There has to be some barriers that we have to break. There are some boundaries we have to break in order for us to be able to upwardly move. Now, climbing the social ladder depends on a range of factors such as individual ability. So it depends on you, who you are, your attitude and all that towards success, your family, social environment, network, and attitudes. All right, now you can see the illustration we have on the screen. You can imagine the first man, the ladder is so set that he can climb without much effort. But for the other person, you know that he has to really do a lot for him to climb. So this is what illustrates what we have in the society in terms of the barriers to social mobility. So the very second person is experiencing barriers, as you can see, in terms of how he can move up. What are these factors that actually create barriers unfair education system or lack of access to appropriate modern technology. Of course, I mean modern education. Of course, we've been talking about the problems caused by unfair educational system. That is why bodies like ASU and the rest of all these unions have been fighting tooth and nail to ensure that the government pumps money into the finances of universities, into polytechnics and the rest of higher institutions, so that they can give a fair educational provisions to the next generation for them to stand a very good chance of earning much and getting the very best job and all that, and ultimately for them to be able to move up within the social ladder in their future. An unfavorable labor market also is another barrier to social mobility. Once there's nepotism, it is only people that knows somebody that can get good jobs and all that. That is a very strong and a doubting barrier to social mobility for a lot of people that may not know many people. An unfavorable or imbalanced economy is another one. Of course, that is what we are experiencing now. The rich people do not really feel the heat of the harsh economy that we're experiencing in the country right now. And of course, the poor are just getting poorer. And the last one that we have on our screen is unaffordable housing market. That is where you can gain respectable or a kind of accommodation that dignifies humanity. You know, presently we have lots of accommodations all around, but you all know the ones that people that are barely just existing, that is, they are only trying to exist as far as that particular housing system is concerned. So if you don't have it in such a way that everybody have equal opportunity, or at least a favorable opportunity for them to gain good housing, then it also is a barrier to social mobility. All right, on that note, we end today's lecture. I believe that by now you all know what social mobility is about. I mean, social stratification is about, and social mobility as well. Now, we have looked at these two concepts in respect of even the Nigerian society. I believe that there might be one or two questions you may also want to ask at the end of the day. So that's fine. Just drop your comments in the comment section, drop your questions and whatever you have, and I will respond. Thank you all. Goodbye for now.